What is up, guys? The winter 2024 anime season is coming up fast, and with it comes 60 more anime titles to choose from. That's right, the anime market continues to be overflooded with so many titles that nobody's gonna watch. This time around, you can expect such amazing titles as the return of Harry One Punch Potter, the show that was popular because the MC actually slept with someone, kid-friendly Urusei Yatsura, the misadventures of a high schooler that left a girl to be waterboarded in order to psychologically manipulate her, the bar show that blew its entire budget on Rie Takahashi, Shield Hero without the edge boy writing, an isekai where the writer forgot that the protagonist has to be a teenager, In Another World with my fuafuafu. Please don't butcher another Mizukami story. Not just one, but two shows about eating things. Also not just one, but two reincarnation villainous stories. Sailor Moon if it was wrote by Amahara, the creator of Interspecies Reviewers. The show Twitter probably won't shut up about for the next 3 months. Blue the anime. Your boring boy hooks up with a cute gyaru show of the season. A silent voice if an AI applied a shoujo manga filter. Danmachi without the massive harem. And so much more. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, but Andrew, what do I watch? But no worries, I've dug through the trash and got the gems for you. This is my top 10 most exciting shows and returners of the winter 2024 anime season. In no particular order, so let's jump right into it. Kicking things off, I have Metallic Rouge. This is an original that's going to be done by Studio Bones. Metallic Rouge takes place in a world where humans and androids coexist. The story follows Rouge, an android girl who's on a mission on Mars with her partner Naomi. The mission is to murder 9 artificial humans who are hostile to the government. Now, honestly, there's only 2 aspects that actually has me excited for the series. One is the setting, very futuristic, mecha, sci-fi, all that kind of stuff. But additionally, we have the director that was behind Carol and Tuesday, which I thought they did a phenomenal job with Carol and Tuesday, especially since it's also kind of set in a semi-futuristic world. Now, the downside is that the writers behind the series doesn't seem like they have much behind their backs in regards to original writing, so nothing to really go based off of. And truth be told, after I watched the PV for this series, I'm not like super excited for it. I sort of have this feeling deep inside that this show might turn out to be pretty average, but it's got enough here that I'm kind of excited for it. For next one we have is Delicious in Dungeon or Dungeon Meshi. Now yes, Andrew is not very well known for liking foodie type shows. Despite my stature, I don't really care much about food. But Dungeon Meshi definitely has kind of a setup that I think I'm going to enjoy based on the characters and everything around the actual food itself. This is a series based off of a manga that is being done by Studio Trigger. The synopsis is when young adventurer Laios and his company are attacked and soundly thrashed by a dragon deep in a dungeon, the party loses all of its money and a member. They're eager to go back and save her, but they have just one problem. If they set out with no food or coin to speak of, they're sure to starve on the way. But Laios comes up with a brilliant idea. Let's eat the monsters. Slimes, basilisks, and even dragons. None are safe from the appetites of the dungeon-crawling gourmands. I can honestly say the PV looks like a lot of fun, and it's going to be a lot to do, like I said earlier, with the reaction of the characters, the goofy shenanigans they're having, and yes, being Trigger, there's a lot of really crazy animation that's happening in it, despite the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, it's about eating food. I think a lot of the fun is going to be around them diving in the dungeon, having a lot of shenanigans in there. So despite the fact that it is a foodie show, I'm definitely excited for it. For our next one we have is one of 2 shows that is about a person rebirthing multiple times. Dr. Elise, the royal lady with the lamp, or Gekai Elise. This is a series that's based off of a manga that's going to be done by Maho Films. That's probably the first big question mark that I have with this series. Maho Films has been known here recently to just not really doing a good job with really anything. And so I hope this is not going to be another one of their casualties to their very mediocre animation. The synopsis is making up for her sins of her past life as the evil princess Elise, Aoi Takamoto dedicated her life to saving people as a doctor. But a fatal accident cuts her atonement short, and suddenly she's back into her previous life, 10 years before her death. Will her foresight and medical brilliance help her change her past ways and heal an ailing empire, or is fate doomed to repeat itself? Now, when I first saw this particular series, I wasn't really sure exactly what it was doing here. Based on the PV, yes, she's kind of in this kind of very Victorian-looking setting, and at some point, she was the bad guy there. She dies, and she goes into more of a modern setting where she becomes this really brilliant doctor, and she wants to save lives. But then she blows up, and then she has to go back to the previous life, where she was the villainess, and so she's able to fix her life there. I hope the series doesn't rely too heavily on the villainous type setups and tropes because, yes, truth be told, for me personally, I think the villainous isekai stuff is kind of getting old at this point. We're getting way too much of it, and none of it's doing enough to sort of set itself aside. So hopefully this is one that can do that, possibly taking into consideration the medical aspect that they're putting into it. I've been pretty satisfied a lot with lately having these isekais that are about medical experts and applying their medicine to the world itself. So we'll have to wait and see if Maho can actually do a decent job for once. For the next one we have is Sasaki and Peeps, or Sasaki to Pichan. Yes, the isekai series where the writer forgot to make the character a teenager. It's actually an adult for once. Yes, my initial draw to this series is obviously the character designer. I absolutely love Kontaku. Sasaki is a middle-aged office worker living in Japan. Feeling drained by the vapid corporate world, he heads to the pet shop in search of a new companion. There, he finds an adorable bird named Peeps and takes him home. But Sasaki quickly learns that Peeps isn't your average bird. He's a powerful mage from another world. Together, they embark on a magical adventure filled with swords and sorcery. This is based off a light novel that is being done by Silverlink, and I think the director and the series composition writer behind it are actually very well known, and hopefully will do a really solid job on the series. I think the biggest draw that I have is just based on the PV itself. It kind of gives me a lot of vibes as something like 80,000 Gold, where it's somebody that is traveling back and forth between the two worlds, and they're able to exploit the two worlds using that capability. So taking chocolates from a modern time and selling it to this other world that is going to pay a fortune for it through the nobles. It's that kind of stuff that I really enjoy, and like I said, add into it the character designs that I absolutely adore. It's definitely a series that I'm looking forward to, and I've been looking forward to it for a long time, ever since it was announced. Next one we have is The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. Oroka na Tenshi wa Akuma to Ororu. This is a series that is based off a manga that's being done by Children's Playground Entertainment. And the director that's going to be doing the series is well known for doing Be the Beginning, Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting, and Listen to Me Girls, I'm Your Father. The series is about a demon that is on a recruitment mission in a human high school. He's drafting allies for Hell in order to fight against the heavenly angels. But after he's captivated by a certain girl, he's in for a devilishly hilarious celestial surprise, which you can only guess what that might actually be. This is a series that I'm honestly kind of hesitantly excited for, in the idea that it's got a really funny setup, and the idea of this devil that seemingly runs into an angel, and the two of them, based on the PV, seem like they're kind of competing against each other, sort of like Kaguya-sama Love is War, where they're just kind of trying to outdo the other person, all the while seeming like they don't want to actually admit that they like the other person. I'm really hoping that'll be a solid rom-com series with the added action that you'll have from, yes, basically the two sides of the battlefield, the heavens and the hells, attacking each other. And yes, I admit, the girl, Lily, looks really, really cute. For the next one I have, please let this be good. Sengoku Youko. This is a series that is wrote by Satoshi Mizukami, who I absolutely love his work with Planet With, and I was dreadfully disappointed in the adaptation of Biscuit Hammer. But I'm hoping, since White Fox is actually in charge of this particular adaptation, please do a good job. Just based on the PV, it looks like everything's on the straight and narrow. Hopefully they do a really fantastic job with it. Series competition writer did Dangers of My Heart and Love Live, and White Fox is known for doing some really good adaptations. So we'll have to wait and see. But this one is, the world is divided into two factions, humans and monsters called Katawara. Despite being a Katawara, Tama loves humans and vows to protect them from evil, even if it means fighting her own kind. Her brother, Jinka, however, hates humans, despite mostly being one. The siblings are joined by a cowardly swordsman named Shinsuke, who wants to learn how to become strong. When the group uncovers a plot to experiment on humans and transform them into monsters, they vow to defeat whoever is behind it, even if it means battling an entire army of warriors. So it's got a pretty decent setup so far, with the idea of two sides that are obviously discriminating against each other, and them coming together in order to fight a common enemy. And again, based on it being from the writer that did Planet With and Biscuit Hammer, which I think he is extremely clever with his writing, please be good. Please be good. And I think this was actually going for like 3 total cores. So I believe it's a full adaptation, which they've been pretty much doing full adaptations of all of his work. So I hope this is good. For my next one I have is Isekai Trash Picker-Upper. Yes, the weakest Tamer began a journey to pick up trash. Saijaku Tamer wa gomi hiroi no tabi wo hajimamashita. Young Ivy can't catch a break. Though she has a few memories of her past life, she was reborn into an RPG-like world in the weakest class, and worse, as the weakest rank. As a no-star tamer, even her parents want nothing to do with her, and she soon realizes that she must survive on her own. She learns to live off the land and salvage what she can from other people's leavings. But when Ivy manages to tame Sora, a lowly slime, everything changes for the both of them. There's something special about this frail little monster, and Ivy's care will bring out the best in both of them. So the I'm the weakest, but then I get overpowered type of series. Yay! But it does look cute. It sort of does play off that element of somebody being put into a really terrible situation, and them just kind of building up and getting stronger over time. Not so much into the realm of something that's very popular right now, which is the revenge isekais, where person gets isekai, they have the weakest skill, everybody treats them like garbage, and then they show them what for. This one looks like it could be possibly a lot more wholesome, more in the vein of something like Ascendance of a Bookworm, but just going for the more fantasy element of being a tamer and living off the land. It's based off a light novel, and the studio is Studio Masket. Definitely another series that has me somewhat intrigued. Moving on, we have one of our most controversial shows of the coming season, and that is Gushing over Magical Girls. Yes, for dang sure, I'm excited for this show. Maho Shoujo ni Ako Garete. This is an adaptation of a manga that is being done by Asahi Production. The director behind the series worked on To Love Ru, so you know they know what they're doing, based on this being an ecchi type show. And the synopsis is, hi, I'm Hiragi Utana. I'm a normal magical girl loving middle school girl. Or, at least I was. But when some talking mascot showed up out of the blue and cast a spell on me, now's my chance to join my beloved magical girls as a villain? Hang on, something's wrong with my outfit. This can't be happening. Yes, this show looks like it is not really going to hold anything back. And I think when it was first announced that it was getting an adaptation, there was a lot of question marks of how far into this manga are they actually going to get? Are they actually going to go all out, or are they going to censor the crap out of it? And the answer is yes and no. This is a series that will have 3 total versions. We will have the TV broadcast, which will be extremely censored, and it's probably going to be the censored version that we're going to get over here. We have the exclusive, pretty much nothing is censored version. They're going to censor some visuals and maybe a little bit of audio, and then they'll have the big Blu-ray version, which will have everything uncensored. So this will probably be one of those series that just expect that Crunchyroll's probably going to pick it up, even though they shouldn't. It will probably be the full uncensored version, and you'll probably have to wait for somebody to copy over the subtitles to the uncensored version that will release in Japan later on, which I won't confirm nor deny. That's the version I'm probably going to wait for. But either way, it looks like it's holding nothing back. It looks super twisted. My assumption based on the PV is that, yes, she transforms into this really skimpy outfit looking villain character, and she loves the girls, but she's going to be forced to have to do naughty things to them. And that's probably going to come into the realm of her just messing with them. Not so much defeating them, but defeating them in a different way. Dominating them and defeating them in another way. It looks crazy, bonkers, cannot wait for it. Moving on to my next show, yes, the shoujo filtered A Silent Voice show. No, truth be told, A Sign of Affection is a series that I'm really, really looking forward to, but there's a inkling side of me that's saying, Andrew, reel it back a little bit. Andrew, don't get too excited. The Japanese title is Yubisaki to Rennen. With these hands, I want to tell you that I love you. Yuki, a deaf college student, is struggling one day when an upperclassman from her school, Itsuomi, helps her out. Itsuomi isn't put off by her lack of hearing and interacts with her naturally. As he gradually opens up a new world to her, Yuki begins to develop feelings for Itsuomi. Thus begins their pure love story, traveling the world together. The studio that's working on this is Ajiado, which I find to be a very above average type of studio. They don't do bad stuff, but at the same time, they're not an amazing studio. And so I'm hoping a series like this, that's kind of a romance slice of life, they'll have plenty of skills to be able to pull it off. The only thing that's kind of sort of bugging me is, despite the fact that I get a lot of A Silent Voice vibes, which I really do like, this idea of opening up storytelling to somebody that is deaf and sign language and stuff like that, communication of a different type in order to help somebody out. A lot of that stuff is really sweet, and I think it can really open up the doors to a really great romance. The only thing that bugs me after watching the PV is the male models. Like I joked about earlier, yes, it has very much so a pretty boy ikemen type of shoujo style that's going on with it, where you have the character models, the male character models are very kind of plain and flat looking, but for some reason they're putting way too much emphasis on depth in the lips. And it just looks really weird. Kind of reminds me of the male characters in A Girl and Her Guard Dog. I'm hoping it doesn't bug me too much. It's really bugging me in the PV, but we'll see if the story and everything else can kind of detract my noticing of that, and so I can focus on the story itself. But we'll see. But it's still up there as one of my most anticipated of the season. Moving on to my last most exciting show of the winter 2024 anime season. Yes, Pioneer Log of the Storied Hot Springs. I'm just joking. We'll see. It might be a good show. I have my ecchi fantasy interest in this series. It's only going to be a short. I'm sure it's going to be hopefully pretty comical and not just, yes, going into the realms of that type of show. But we'll see. No, honestly, the last one that I have is Solo Leveling. Now, I'm extremely hesitant of this show. Ever since it was first announced to getting an adaptation, everybody was losing their crap. Everybody massively hyping the show. I checked out like the first chapters of the series and it wasn't really grabbing me. It's kind of like I joked about, it's kind of true. It's basically take Danmachi and take the harem out of it. Now that's just a very basic intro type of joke. Yes, obviously, guy goes in the dungeon, he's super weak. At some point, something that shouldn't be there, something really overpowering is in a lower level area, he nearly dies, and then he gets something out of it. Something happens after that. That's where it kind of breaks off from Danmachi. That's the joke. It's just a joke. Don't get mad. After that, it's supposed to be about him getting like missions and special skills, and he's starting to build himself up. He's becoming overpowered, as you do. I'm just personally setting my expectations to not get too excited because I don't want to overhype the show based on the amount of hype that's coming on around it. But I will admit that yes, we have a powerhouse of a team that's behind this series, and they're pulling none of the punches. We have A1 Pictures going to be animating it, which yes, they're often like hit and miss. It's just based on what kind of resources they get, whether we get really good animators or not to work on the project itself. The director only really worked on Goddess Dormitory and episode directing work for Sword Art Online, so it's not like that's a big powerhouse person there. Well, we do have the series composition writer that did Kimono Jaihin, Kokoku, and Healer Girl, and he's a really good writer. Despite the fact that those shows have their production issues, he's a good series composition writer. And of course, yes, for me personally, the thing that has me most excited is yes, music by Sawano Hiroyuki. So if nothing else works for this show, at least it's going to sound amazing. And it's going to have some amazing vocals and everything to really get you pumped up for those action scenes. The PV already looks really fantastic, so we'll wait and see if it actually delivers. For those that are unaware, let's get into the synopsis. It's been over a decade since the sudden appearance of gates, the paths that connect our world with a different dimension. Since then, certain humans have awakened to supernatural powers. We call these individuals hunters. Hunters make a living using their powers to conquer dungeons inside gates. In this world of tough customers, the low-ranked hunter Shun Mizushino is known as the weakest hunter of all mankind. One day, Shun gets fatally injured when he runs into high-ranked double dungeons hidden in a low-ranked dungeon. Just then, a mysterious quest window appears in front of him. On the verge of death, Shun decides to accept the quest and starts leveling up, while others aren't. So I'm not sure if that implies this idea that typically people just have special powers and they fight things, but they don't actually level up. But Shun's going to be the rare case where he's actually going to level up, or possibly he's going to prevent other people from leveling up. But we'll see. It's got an interesting kind of element added to it than just being dungeon diving with the quests and everything. And I'm hoping that stuff will create enough intrigue to the overall story and not just be the weakest guy that everybody's like, don't go in there, you're super weak. And then it gets OP and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Shigoi, you've always been weak. You can't possibly be strong. We'll see. But there ain't no doubt that it's easily the most popular show of the season. So again, I'm gonna keep my expectations set, and I'll just pray that I actually do get extremely surprised by it. And that's it. That's my top 10 most exciting new shows. For honorable mentions, I will say The Witch and the Beast is a show that I want to be really good. It kind of gives me a lot of vibes of Witch Hunter Robin, but at the same time, the studio. This studio is not a great studio. This is a studio that's not really well known for doing amazing stuff, so I'm not expecting too much from it. It's the same for Chained Soldier for me. I am excited for Chained Soldier, the setup, the action, the style and everything that it has for it, but at the same time, again, studio isn't great. And it's probably gonna be a lot of CGI action scenes, but we'll see. Maybe Chained Soldier, and even with The Witch and the Beast, those will be the big knockout shows for those studios. I'm also decently excited for Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable. Gotta always have my Garu show of the season. I always end up enjoying them somewhat, so we'll see if that one definitely kind of sets itself aside from all the other boring protagonists gets with hot Garu. And finally, my last honorable mention is Tales of Wedding Rings. I've actually read the manga way into it. I think I was pretty close to the end of it. Yes, meaning I didn't finish it, and there's a very good reason for that, and the fact that, yes, I joked about it earlier, it's basically Blue the anime. Like, this whole story is about him constantly having all these girls that are so badly wanting him, and nothing happens. He keeps gathering the rings, he gets more powerful, he fights the big baddie, he gets more girls, he gets more rings, he fights the big baddie. It's a very rinse repeat type of series, and at some point reading through the manga, I got bored and stopped reading it. It's a very repetitive series that just doesn't really go anywhere. So we'll see if possibly the anime adaptation, which again is another studio that's not that great, can pull something off that makes it more interesting than the manga was. And yes, for returners, gosh dang, I could not be more excited for the return of Dangers in My Heart second season. Let's go. Literally, like, the entire coming season, put everything in the trash. I just want Dangers in My Heart. Dangers in My Heart coming back is literally setting me off. I cannot be more excited for this series. I absolutely adore the first season. I said it when I did my review for the series. It is a perfection show. Like, it is one that I'm looking to put in my top 10 of all time. That's how much I love Dangers in My Heart. It is brilliant. It's beautifully animated. It's got the returning team coming back. We have the musician that did the original series, he's phenomenal. Everything is lining up that Dangers in My Heart is easily going to be probably already, before it even started, the anime of the year for next year. But we'll see. Also, yes, Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. I love the first season. I thought it was a very, very refreshing isekai. I think back when that came out, I kept telling people, even if you don't like isekais, check out Tsukimichi. It is a breath of fresh air. Please go watch it. It's amazing. I cannot wait for the second season to come out. It's been too long. I was happy that they announced pretty quickly that the second season was coming, but it's like, at this point, it's like, please come out already. I need my second season. And I think that one's running for 2 cours, whereas the first season only had 1. Fantastic. Cannot wait. And then finally, for the returners I'm excited for is bottom tier character Tomozaki second stage. Now, this is a series that early on, I don't think I was really sold on it, but I really love the direction that it went to. It's basically an idea of this guy that's a gamer that gets fixed by this girl, teaching him how to be, you know, a love interest for people, somebody that people would actually want to go out with. And I really liked, at the later part of the season, the first season, it had a twist to it. It kind of twists the narrative a little bit in a way that I was really shocked by. And I've been, ever since that moment, I've been excited for the second season to come out because I want to see what they'll do with that. So hopefully they jump right into it. But for that reason, I'm super excited for it. I do like the characters a lot. And yes, of course, we have continuing series, which honestly, for most people, even for me, before I even looked at the coming season, I was like, it's already going to be a great season. Like Winter, before you even look at the list, you know it's going to be a great season because we have 2 cores for pretty much all the great shows of the current season. Yes, Frierin's going into Winter, Apothecary Diaries is going into Winter, Undead Unluck is going into Winter, and yes, Shangri-La Frontier, if you enjoy that series, is going on into Winter. It's a fantastic time to be an anime fan, and I just cannot wait for these shows to continue on, and I'm loving them so much. So, but that is my thoughts, my picks of the Winter 2024 anime season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Hopefully it was informative to you guys. Hopefully it was entertaining to you guys. As usual, before you leave, go down in the comments down below and let me know what your most exciting shows of the coming season is. Also, make sure to stick around as this coming week, the podcast, Otaku Spirit Anime Cast, we will be going through every single show, giving you full synopsis, who's working on them, what to expect from them, our thoughts on the PVs themselves, every single show. So if you want a full in-depth look at everything, definitely check out that podcast episode. Even on YouTube, when we post it there, it's audio only, but we'll have visuals to give you an idea of what's going on in the show itself and the key arts and all that kind of stuff. So definitely look forward to that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support this channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate everybody does. And y'all take care.